Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online workshop with our library resources. My name is Linda Barbado, and I am with the College of Graduate Studies. And online tonight, our wonderful presenter, Lauren Flores with our Bell Library. We are happy that you are logged on with us tonight, and we will, the chat will be on. I'll be monitoring the chat for questions. And we can definitely send you this information as well. And just you can comment in the chat if you'd like more information. And we are excited to have you on. And with respect to everyone's time, I think, Lauren, if you want to go ahead and kick us off.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Linda. So I'm really excited to be here and talk about the library. If y'all feel comfortable, it would be really great if you don't mind sharing like your major topic or concentration, just so that way I can tailor the presentation to, stuff that you would want to know, if you don't mind. I'll give y'all a second. Y'all can do that. If you want to unmute, that's great. Or if you want to respond in chat, I've got that open as well. So I'll give y'all a second if y'all feel comfortable sharing that. So,
Hello there. This is Jason
hello.
Dowden. Hey, I figured I would come off instead of chat, but after 15 years, after the bachelor and a career at AT&T, I am back to get my master's in business management.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And it looks like there's a message from Grayson. So Grayson is from Kerrville. Did I say that right? I hope. I'm also from Central Texas, so I hope I'm saying that correctly. And you're enrolled in the MACC program. Can you tell me more about that? I'm a little like I'm not quite sure what that acronym stands for. Oh, okay. It looks like, and Miss Priscilla says she's doing an MPA in nonprofit management.
Hi, this is Grayson. It's the Masters of Accountancy
Oh,
program,
cool.
and yes, it is Kerrville.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well,
I got that.
you don't know where Kerrville is if you're familiar with Fredericksburg or northwest of San Antonio, about 40 minutes or so.
Got it.
Thank you.
That's so cool. Oh, and we also have Brianna as well. So she's getting her master's in professional counseling. So this is awesome. Thank you so much. This really helps because that way I can be sure to try to show you the different databases and all the resources that are going to apply. Also, if you have any topics that you'd like for me to search for, I'm happy to help with that as well. It's really cool to be able to do like a demonstration and be helping people with their research at the same time. Oh, and it looks like there's a response from Jessica. So MBA in management from Fort Worth, pretty cool. And works for an oil company. So super excited. It's really nice to meet you. I think probably the very first thing that I'm going to show you about the library homepage, and just to kind of mention, I kind of think of it as like, I would say almost as important as the library building itself. You can get to a lot of our resources and not actually have to be physically in the library. This is really helpful, especially if you're working different hours, like at night, early in the morning, things like that. So that's one definite plus. And really, the other big thing that I really wanted to start with is how to get help. So one of the cool things that we have is we have the Ask Us service. And if you notice when you look on the page, it is right there. It's right over here. I'm kind of pointing to it right now. But the cool thing about Ask Us is we have a chat service and it is 24/7. So if you have a question and it's like 3 in the morning, you can go to Ask Us. There's going to be a chat box that you can jump into and there will be like a real person on the other end. So one thing about using Ask Us is it is staffed with different librarians. So if you do jump into Ask Us and it's between the hours of 8 to 5, it will be somebody from Bell Library. If you jump in and it's 3 in the morning, it's going to be a librarian from a different place. They still can help you. Just know that they might be able to help you to a certain point and they're probably going to refer you back to somebody at the Bell Library. But you'll be able to get started and, accomplish what you need to accomplish. So it's pretty cool. We also have some other ways that you can get to us if you'd like. You can call, you can text us. If you click on email, I wanted to mention that as well because you can definitely send an email question. But if you'd like to set up an appointment with a librarian, that's a service that I don't think many people are very aware of. And that's when you reserve time with a librarian. So it could be like an hour or an hour and a half. It could be in person in the library. We have a special meeting space for that. Or if you want to, we can also meet you online, like on Zoom or Teams, and we'll be able to, work with you and work with what you're looking for. It also is something that you can do, like if you're doing like a group project, you can set up a consultation for your group as well. So just wanted to make sure that you know about that. I really do think it's a really helpful resource for folks. So let me jump back to the library page. And I did want to mention too, on the Ask Us, we do have the Contact Us. We do have an FAQs. I'm not sure that you would be using that as much necessarily, but I wanted to let you know that it exists. But if we get back to the library homepage, the other big thing that I wanted to show you, it's kind of a link that is on the library page. It's in the middle under resources. There's a link to graduate students. This is like a condensed version because we have a lot of stuff on our page. And so as a graduate student, you might want to just zero in on some of the things and some of the services that you need. So you'll see that it is arranged in different columns. It's a long list, but you'll see like under library spaces, it'll tell you about the quiet room that we have, the quiet study area. We have study rooms. There's also the iCreate lab that I can describe in a moment. One of the perks of being a graduate student is you can check out laptops from the iCreate lab on the second floor. That's something that other folks can't do unless you're a graduate student. And then there's also links to events in the library, but then there's also just these direct links to different library services that you might need. So the first one goes to your library account. You would just log in with your Island ID and password, and it allows you to see anything that you have checked out. If you have any fines, which, you may not have any fines or anything like that. If you have ILL requests, and I'll mention that a little bit in a second, it would be listed here as well, but it's really just a quick way to get to your library account. So there's also some other things in here as well. You'll see that there's links to interlibrary loan. There's links to library policies. There's also the checkout renewals and fines. And one of the cool perks that I think about is pretty cool about being a graduate student is you do get a checkout period that's a little bit longer. So you get a 6-week checkout period and you can check out up to 50 items. So that's a step up from the undergraduates. So there's also just some other links down here under research. I'm actually going to show you most of this stuff. We did cover Ask Us, but there's also links to different databases, to library quick search, a research guide, which I'm going to show you those. And there's also like a journal search as well. So again, if you wanted just to go directly to that page, you could, and theoretically you could do work from there. Probably most likely you'll be starting at this main library search page. And so the very first thing that I wanted to show you is library quick search. It is the search box that's right in the middle of the page. If you click on that search box right here, it's going to open up and show you some filters. So one of the big things to remember when you're using quick search is that it's searching like the broad spectrum of what the library has. So it's going to show you books that we have like in print. It's going to show you ebooks that we have. It's going to show you streaming content that we have. It's also going to reach into the different databases, and that's like all 400 plus databases that we have. I think it's 300, 400, something like that. So it's reaching through all of that content. And so it's really, really helpful because sometimes you go in and you have a topic and you just don't really know where to look. And so this is a place where you can go and jump in and kind of see what you're finding. So let me just demonstrate this really, really quickly. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to pop open the chat just to see if there's any questions so far. Like, have any folks actually used the quick search before? Or done any preliminary searching in the databases? Just out of curiosity? So I see a no, a negative. Okay, so this is pretty new. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'll try not to go too fast, but really it's really meant to mimic like when you go into Google. So typically people go in and they type in like a term. And let me see if I can think of a good one. And if you want to suggest a search term, that would be really great. I'm actually, looking at your topics just to see if I can think of one. I'll just go ahead and start with professional counseling and just put in some keywords. So I'm going to do professional counseling and workforce development. And one thing to remember, and this is something that applies to the library resources, but also like if you're using Google Scholar or just Google, you type in your keywords, it's going to scan either the text of a web page if like you're in Google, or if you're in one of the library databases, it's scanning the text of either like a book or an article or, the streaming content, things like that. So it's really going to influence the type of results that you get. So if you're finding that you're not finding enough information in your result list, which this doesn't actually look too bad, really. It looks like we have like 1,074 results, which isn't terrible. But if you needed to adjust this, you could go in and change your keywords. Sometimes you might need to just change the word, like find a synonym. Sometimes if you just, let's see, I'm going to try professional development. Sometimes you can remove keywords as well. If you put a lot of keywords in, it's looking for all those words. So it's very, very specific. So this is something that I think you'll probably be developing when you're doing your research, is like the different keywords, especially as you learn the vocabulary in your discipline. It'll help a lot with the searches, because then you'll be able to find really, really good keywords and you'll be able to use those and find things a little bit faster. And you'll see just the difference with just using one keyword. We went from a little over 1,000 to this much larger number. So that's going to be part of your researching, I think, is finding those keywords and looking at the results that you're getting and adjusting them to what you need best. But since we are looking in such a broad field and we are looking at a lot of different types of results, one of the great things about Quick Search is that we have filters, and we did have a set of filters that you can start with. Those are those checkboxes where you can isolate different types of resources. Like if you know already that you want to find articles, there's a checkbox for articles and there's one for peer-reviewed. If you know that you need to find peer-reviewed articles. Of course, if you don't remember and you just want to do a search and see what's out there, you can add those filters retroactively. And so if you look on the left side, that's what all of these checkboxes are. And this is where we can go in and isolate to peer-reviewed resources. So that's going to change our result list quite a bit. If you go to full text online, that's going to change it as well. So just an FYI, not all of the resources are going to have the full text available. So sometimes you'll have a citation and you might have to go a couple of other steps to get it. We have interlibrary loan, which is built into all of these systems. So you can go ahead and order things that we don't have. And typically it will send you content online if they can get it. If it's something that's still in print, they will send it to the library and notify you. But either way, it is blindingly fast sometimes. One time I was doing a demonstration like this, and I ordered something just to have an example, and they sent it to me before the class even started. It was only like 2 hours afterwards. So it can be very, very fast with that document delivery. But anyway, let me backtrack a little bit and just show you some more of these filters on the left-hand side, just because there's some other ones that might be helpful. You'll see that there's a category for content type. So depending on what you're looking for, you might need to be like really, really specific. So like if you're looking for like a conference proceeding, there is a category for that. So we can add that filter, and it's just going to show everything that matches all of those filters. And they're really easy to remove. If I decided, or if I click this mistakenly, you can just go to the little X button and that will remove that filter and take you back to that previous search. There's also the publication date, which is really handy because a lot of times our professors will tell us, hey, you really have to have stuff that's it's current. It needs to be within 5 years. So you can add that preset filter. You can also go in and use the pencil icon. And so if you know that you needed a specific date range, like if you're working on like a specific time period, you can enter that in and only see results from that particular time frame. So, which is really helpful. And then they have these others down here as well. I don't tend to use these as much. You might find them helpful. They have what they call subject areas. Sometimes I use this to get a sense for, which databases to look in, because we have our databases arranged by subject area. So that may be one way that you might want to do that. Or if you have a really, really broad search that cuts across a lot of different subject areas, you might want to say, okay, I really just want to look at, the ones that are business oriented or nursing oriented. So you can add that filter if you want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that because it's not really working for this search. But just to kind of let you know. And then, of course, if you speak a language other than English and you'd like to extend your searching for that, or if you want to isolate those results, you can do that in the language filter as well. And then also the databases. And again, I find this helpful if I'm really just starting out in a particular topic and I'm not really familiar where to look. Sometimes it's really helpful to see like the concentration of results, like which databases they're coming from. And in a second, I'm going to show you how to go to the individual databases and search, but these are actually names of databases that we have. And you can go and run the searches in the databases if you'd like to do that. So let me just show you a couple of other things before we jump into something slightly different. But I did want to point out that one of the cool things about the quick search and the databases is they do have, I would say, tools that are built for researchers just to make things a lot easier. So one big thing to know is when you generate a search, it will typically build like a durable link to that particular search. So in some databases, there'll be a button that will let you save that. In quick search, it seems to work if you just click on the top part where it's showing the link, and then you can save that. I don't know if it's as reliable as some of the databases, but it is something that I find particularly helpful because sometimes you get like this really, really good search and a really good search result list, and then you can't exactly remember because you've done a lot of different keyword changes. So sometimes it's really helpful to have that direct link to the search that you can go to. So if you want to revisit it later. So there's that. Then there's also like a couple of little buttons. So if you look at the actual entries, like the first one will tell you this first thing that we're looking at, number 1, it's coming from an e-journal. There's actually a link to the full text. So if we click on that, it's going to take us to the text of the article, and we could download it if we wanted to do that. If we go back though, we could just save this item. So that's what the little bookmark does. The only thing about saving or saving an item like this in the list is that it doesn't actually persist. So like if your computer crashes or if you absentmindedly like close your window, it's going to be gone. So another more permanent way to save this stuff would be to email the item to yourself. You can also get a permanent link. So typically the databases have like a durable permanent link to each item in the database. So you could copy and paste that if you wanted to save that. So, and let me move my screen around because it's actually covering up something that I want to show you and I couldn't see it. But if you look all the way over on the right-hand side where it shows saved items, you can click on that and it's going to show you the items that you've saved just for this particular session. So if you wanted to do all of these in a group, you could either print them all or email them to yourself. So you might find that helpful as well. So if you're finding like a really productive search set, you can just go ahead and send it so that way you don't forget. Let me jump back really quickly and just show you a couple of things as well, because some of these I would call them features are very similar across the different databases, so you'll kind of encounter them again when you're searching. And I'm trying to get back to my previous search, so let me see if I can do that. It's so funny because this always happens. Oh, here we go. There's the back to results button. It took me a second to find it because I have a lot of things open on my screen. But I did want to mention, I love the cite this item. If you click on it, it's going to show you how to cite in a bunch of different formats. So when we get into Zotero, which I'm not sure that y'all have used that before, that's like a bibliographic citation manager. It's going to be even more exciting with the citations. You'll have a ton of different styles to choose from. So let me go ahead and move my screen around and just check the chat. Does anybody already use like a bibliographic citation manager like Zotero or RefWorks? I think EasyBib is one that folks use as well. So not yet. Okay. So, and I'll explain in a second. We'll get to that in a moment. Oh, cool. So it looks like Mary Beth has used EasyBib. Awesome. That's really cool. So I just wish that they had these tools when I was younger, because I probably would have made a lot better grades. It just makes things so much easier, especially when it comes time to build your bibliographies and create them. So I'm going to be showing Zotero because that is the bibliographic management software that we actually have a subscription to, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I think though, when you're doing the databases, it's really, really helpful just to have this anyway, because sometimes you're just, finding one or two things, or if like you're doing a really short paper and you have just 5 citations, it might be just easier to use the citation generator to build that instead of going in and, building a folder and doing stuff in Zotero. Of course, it's your choice, but it's nice that, you have that option. The only thing that we warn people typically is that it's never 100% perfect. Sometimes the information is entered wrong, or for whatever reason, it's not exactly perfect. So you're definitely going to want to proofread a little bit before you use it. But it's really helpful to have it set up already so you can just edit it and it's pretty much almost done. But let me go ahead and shift gears a little bit. Let me know if you have more questions about Quick Search, and I can review it if we have time, because I definitely wanted to jump into some of the other features on the page. And I think that Quick Search is really, really helpful, but you may not really be spending a lot of time in it, because a lot of times, especially when you get into your your heavily specific coursework, you'll probably be using several different databases most often. So to get to the databases, the easiest way is just to go to the databases button. And when you get to the page, it's trying to redirect you to where you need to go. So you'll see that there is an alphabetical list. If you know the name of a database, you can go directly there, just using this list. If you are maybe looking for a particular subject area, you can go in, and I'll just go ahead and jump into business, and you'll see a list of all the business databases that we have. We usually have a section that says best bets, and these are the ones that are most frequently used. But I would just recommend, take a look at some of the other databases. Some of them are very, very specific. Like there's one for accounting, tax, and banking. Some of them are like market research databases, things like that. So there's a lot of a variety in the content in different databases, and that's really going to influence the databases that you use. So let me just show you just really quickly a single database. It's called ABA Inform. It's typically a business database, but a lot of people use it for different subject areas because it has a little bit of everything. And what I'm going to show you right now is just a quick search. But one thing that I wanted to mention during the session is when you do start doing your research, you might find it really helpful to I would say create kind of like your own research environment. And what I mean by that is when you go into the library resources, typically this is stuff that people outside the university cannot access. So typically when you click in, especially if you're off campus, you're going to be logging in and authenticating with your island ID and your password. But then when you actually get to the databases themselves, a lot of them have extra features that you would need to register and sign up within the database. So it's kind of like a secondary login. You may choose not to use these particular resources. I just tend to find them helpful just because of the way that I do research. But I did want to show you in ABA Inform, it is a database from a company called ProQuest. So ProQuest has a particular search interface, but then if you create an individual account in ProQuest, it's going to work in all the other ProQuest databases. So if you click on the right-hand side where it says My Research, this is where you can go in and create an account for yourself. And I was just going to sign in and just show you some of those extra features. So you'll see that it's I've already set up my account, so it's asking me to log in. I have a separate password for the database. Typically, you're going to want to use your TAMUCC email when you sign up for the databases, just so that they know that you are affiliated with us and part of our subscription. So, but one of the cool things about it is, for one thing, in the database itself, if you're signed in, you can save different documents. So if you want to come back to read some of these items later, it's saved like they usually call it like a folder or some sort of storage area where you can go in and just revisit the stuff that you saved. Also, for me personally, I find it helpful because sometimes, I have particular projects that I'm working on long term. And so it's really nice when you can save your searches because you can create an alert. So if you wanted to, like for this one that I'm doing, I could name the alert and then have it email me, and you can preset the interval. So it'll like maybe email you like once a week or anytime there's something new, and just let you know, hey, this email is from ProQuest. There's some new content that matches your search. So, and again, you may not use this all the time, but like if you're working on something long term, like, a thesis or dissertation, something like this might come in handy. So I just wanted to let you know about that. In case it's something that you want to take advantage of. But if we just go back to ABI Inform, it works really similarly to a lot of different databases. You have your basic search. If you wanted to, you could be, in the advanced search, there's a little bit more control with what you're looking at. You'll see that there's filters. You can also control like where you're searching, like where your keyword is searching, like you want to search in a title or an abstract. If this is something that you're not interested in, it's no problem. You can just go into the basic search, or you can just type in your keywords. But let's see, management and performance. And one of the cool things about the database is a lot of times they will suggest topics for you and keywords as well, which I find really helpful. But I went ahead and just typed in, this demonstration just so you can see. But you'll see that we have our filters, so we can go in and add peer-reviewed, full text. We can see our source types, and they have it kind of like a graphical representation. So like if I wanted to look at the scholarly journals, I can just click on that, and I'm just looking at scholarly journals now. So you can go in, you can modify a search, you can save your search. So if you wanted to save this particular search because it's really, really productive, you can give it a name. And then maybe like a note to describe it. So when you come back later, you'll be able to remember what you did, and it's saved in your searches. So, and you'll see as well that if you wanted to do things in groups, you could add that. It's got, the site, the email saved to my research. That's that area that I mentioned where you can, store items if you want to in the database itself. But otherwise, typically you would just click on the title of the article that you're interested in. It'll have a link to the full text, and then you can read it, and then you're able to, either download the PDF, or if you want to cite it, there's a link to this particular page right here, or you can print this out and it gives you some extra options. And so there's a whole lot. But anyway, hopefully this is helpful. I know I'm showing y'all a lot of information, so I'm going to pause for a second and see if y'all have any questions so far. And I don't see any yet, but just again, let me know. Oh, here we go. Where will we go to review this recording? So I think that's a Linda question. So
Well, we will get it online and sent to loaded on the College of Graduate Studies website. And so I have, if you want to send me your email address in the chat, I can make sure that once it's uploaded, I can notify you. And that way you get a copy of it. That works.
awesome. Thank you. Oh, and I just saw Jason's comment. Fabulous. Yay. So another fan of ABI Inform. It's great to hear. So maybe it's a librarian thing that I have a lot of favorite databases. So maybe you will end up having them too. Who knows? But let me go ahead and I'm going to close this out. There's one other database that I wanted to show you. And again, I would just well, I don't know if recommend is a word. I guess encourage is probably better. You know, if you have a chance to familiarize yourself with the different databases that are going to be applying to you at your subject area. But I definitely wanted to show you one that is really useful, I think, for pretty much any sort of discipline. It's called Web of Science. And the way that I get to it usually is I go to the W on the alphabetical list. And it looks like I accidentally had the business filter on. So let me undo that really quickly. So we're back to what we normally see when we click on the W. But Web of Science is really, really awesome for several different reasons. But one big thing that I wanted to mention is, especially when you're doing literature reviews, is you might be doing a lot of what they call like citation chasing or citation analysis. So sometimes you'll have like this incredible article, it's got everything that you need, and maybe it's the only one that you can find. And so what you can do with Web of Science is you can go in and you can type in the name of that article, and then you can see how many papers have cited it. So that leads you in a whole other set of resources that you can look at. Or you can also go in and look at that particular article's works cited page, and you can do like a backwards citation search there. So depending on your topic, I mean, you might want to search by an author's name. It's really, really helpful too, because it's supposed to be really kind of comprehensive. So you can type in an author and see all the stuff that they've written. But I'm just going to go ahead and do like a quick search. And I'm just kind of picking a random topic that I'm hoping will kind of match the topics that you're mentioning. So as I mentioned before, Web of Science is really amazing. It just looks a little bit different. And it looks like in this particular search, it looks like the stuff that we're seeing so far, and it could be maybe it's just newer or it just hasn't really been cited. It's just showing us the references. So I'll go ahead and pick this one. So these are the cited references. That's the backward citation search. So these are all the articles that are cited in that particular paper. So you can check those. And you'll see that some of these do have citations. And so people do use the amount of time that a paper has been cited as kind of like a rough measure of influence. So sometimes, you know, when you're doing a search, especially like in a literature review, and you're trying to find influential articles, this is one way that you can kind of get a sense for that. Let me see if I can find a different search. And I know it's not really related to any of our topic areas, but it's one that I think is really interesting, and it seems like it has a lot of good examples. So it's about caffeine in college students. And so you'll see like this one has a little bit better, I think, with the examples. So like number 2, it's been cited like 85 times. So if we click on that, these are all these other articles that have cited that source article. And then from here, you can go in and, you know, maybe we're interested in the first one. So if we wanted to continue with that forward citation searching, it'll just lead you to a lot more resources. So this is also really helpful too, and I don't want to jump in too much about it. But like when it comes time to, you know, when you want to publish in certain articles, they also have measures for journals. So you can go into Web of Science and see, like if you wanted to know what the most influential journal was in accounting or like in business, you'd be able to use Web of Science to look that up. So just wanted to give you a heads up about that. And again, this is just kind of for your information. And I'm going to go ahead and move on, but I wanted to double check because it looks like someone had left a message. Okay, it looks like it's an email address. So, but I just really wanted to make you aware of this particular resource because it is so helpful. And it is one of the ones where you would be able to create your own account and sign in, and that's super helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back to the library page because I have a lot of other cool stuff to show you, and I want to be sure that we fit it all into our hour that we're going to spend together. But I definitely wanted to show you the second button that is underneath the quick search box. It's the research guides. And again, this one, you may not use this one a whole lot, but it's really helpful to know about. The research guides are pretty much designed to be like little mini web pages that are devoted to a particular topic. They're also really useful because if you wanted to set up like a consultation with a librarian, we do have different librarian teams that work with different colleges. And so probably the fastest way to figure out who is on your librarian team and who they are and to be able to contact them if you want to is to actually go in and look at the subject guide for your topic. And there's usually, sometimes you'll see that there'll be research guides for a particular like course, but there's always at least one that's just that particular topic in general. And so you'll see that it's going to show you, okay, so here are the most popular business databases. It'll tell you how to find articles. There'll also be just some specific information to that particular topic or discipline. So like if you're, looking for stock quotes, or if you wanted to do company research, or if you're looking for SWOT analyses, if you want to do industry analysis, there's also a tab for accounting. So it's going to give you specific resources to start your research in that particular area. And so a lot of times it just will save you a lot of time just to be able to go into the guide and say, okay, I need to look in these databases, and then you can just jump in. But if you go to the homepage, you'll see that it's usually got a link to Ask Us, and this is the librarian team for business. And you'll see that, we have our librarians' names here. And so if you wanted to reach out to like Jennifer or Lisa or Tara directly and set up a consultation, you could do that as well. So just wanted to let you know that these exist. And then the next thing that I wanted to show you is the journal search. And I think that you will probably be using this one a little bit more. And for the journal search, the circumstances are going to be a little bit different. It may be that you might want to look at like a single journal. So a lot of times the professor will say, hey, I want you to find some articles, and they need to be from, this journal, and that journal. So you could search in the databases, but sometimes it's just easier to go into the journal search. So if you have the title of the journal or the ISSN number, which is it's like a identity number for journals that are unique to each journal, you can type that in. Let's see. And I'm just guessing here. Of course, you're probably going to get familiar with the different journals that are in your topic or discipline as well. But the great thing about this, though, is it does tell you. So it looks like if you see it listed, we definitely have it. Then you would just click on the title to find out more. And it's going to tell you, which databases to go to find it. So typically when you see that, like if you click on the psychology database, a lot of times it'll take you to the database. And a lot of times in the databases, they have like a special area where you can look in just that particular journal. So you're not looking in the wider search. And it will tell you what we have. So it looks like we have from 1998 at least to 2016, just in terms of the full text. And it looks like, we do still have the citations for the newer stuff. It's just that you would probably have to order those from Interlibrary Loan if those came up in a search. But from here, typically you can either, search within the publications. You could type in a keyword search, or if you know that you need to find a particular issue, you can just put in the year, and then you would put in the issue that you're looking for. And then you would be able to, access those articles in the journal. So this is so much faster. And of course, I love this part too, because it's got the URL. So if you wanted to bookmark this on your browser, because you're using this a lot, you can definitely do that. The only thing that's going to be slightly different is if you're off campus, it's going to prompt you to log in with your island ID, because you are part of our subscription and it's not widely available, just the whole world. And if you wanted to, again, create an alert, you can do that as well. So there's just a lot of really good stuff that you can do with this. So we do have some items that are still in print. So if you click on something like that, it's going to tell you where to find it in the library. It says check for available services. So this one, sometimes it'll prompt you to sign in, and that usually will route you to interlibrary loan. And typically in the databases as well and in quick search, and of course, naturally, because I'm doing a demonstration, it's not working, but typically it would take you to your interlibrary loan account, which let me go ahead and show you that really quickly. And let me see if I have any tabs open for my previous searches, because a lot of times if you're in a database, there'll be a link to interlibrary loan. I know for sure it's in quick search. So usually with that, let me see if I can just do like a quick search. In quick search, though sometimes it's hard to find things in quick search that are not full text. So there'll be a link to interlibrary loan, usually displaying, and it'll autofill the form. It'll have you log in, but you can go to borrow request and go to interlibrary loan. If you have the citation information, like if it doesn't auto fill out the form from the database, you can go in and you can see that I did request an item. It came in really, really quickly, and it's still there. The links do expire. So typically we tell people as soon as you get your interlibrary loan request, if it's online, go ahead and go in and download the article. So that way it doesn't expire. Otherwise, you can just go in and create your request. And depending on what you're ordering, for like an article, you would just put in all the information from the database, like the name of the article, the volume, the page number. That's all stuff that you would find in the database. So like let me see if I can click on one so we can just take a look. That would be all this information right here. And it actually has full text options. It says get full text. So that's going to be that link to interlibrary loan. So it looks like the link is already there. So that didn't work out. Sorry about that. But if it was an interlibrary loan, it would fill out the form for you. So, but anyway, as I mentioned before, it's very, very fast. You can get them very quickly. Sometimes it's the same day. If it's something that is a little rarer, or if they have to send for it, it might take a little bit longer. So that's one thing that we usually tell people to try to build that into your search, because sometimes, it may take a week, it may take a little bit longer, especially if it's something that's like a physical object that needs to come to the library for you to pick up. But you do also have another choice, and I just wanted to mention that as well. So if we go to borrow request, let's see, let me find it. I'm trying to find the link. It's called the texture card, and there's actually a link to this on the library page. Sometimes it takes me a moment to find it because I don't typically use it. Let's see, if we go to requesting materials, it's probably going to be there. So from another library, let me see if I can find that. And it might take me a moment to find it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so here's the link to texture card. This is really cool. So you would sign up for a texture card here at our library. And usually it lasts for a semester, but basically it gives you access to other university and public libraries in Texas. So if you click on the texture link, it'll show you all of them. I know with some of them, like at least with like UT, you would be able to check out from UT Austin. Sometimes you have to get like a separate card. I think that's how it used to be. It may not be that way. Usually you can just go into, another university library if they're part of texture and just go in and check out a book. It may be a little bit different. You may not have the same access, like they may limit you to a book or 2 or 5 or something like that. But you'll still be able to check out that book at that other library, which is really cool. So, and that is free of charge. And I usually mention that just because sometimes a deadline happens and you know that there's a book in Houston and you really need it and you can't wait for an interlibrary loan and it's worth your time just because you want to complete this project to just go over there and check it out, use the resource, take it back. So, you do have that choice, which is really helpful. But let me jump back and I know I'm talking kind of fast, but I'm trying to make sure that I get all this information, to make sure that you have all the information that you need. Let me know if you have any questions. I did want to mention really quickly, or let me ask first, do y'all have your Google Scholar set up so that it links back to TAMUCC resources yet? No. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you how to do that because that's another time saver. Sometimes Google Scholar just has, the content. I mean, it has a lot of different content that sometimes you can't find, say, like in Web of Science, but also sometimes the algorithm just seems to work well. And so you might tend to use it. And of course, a lot of times if you don't have it connected, it's not going to link you back to the stuff that we actually have access to. So it's really, really easy to do that. And I have mine set up already. Let me go to Google Scholar. But really all you have to do is just go to Google Scholar, go to the I guess they call it a hamburger menu, but I like to just call it the three horizontal lines menu. And then if you go to settings, go to library links. And if you don't have this set up, you would just type in, it looks like I don't for some weird reason. I'm going to type in Texas A&M Campus and search. And so it's going to ask me, are these the ones? Yes, it's the right one. I'm going to hit save. And so now let me do a search on, let's see, social media. And so now it's linking back, so it'll say full text at TAMUCC. And if I click on that, it's going to take me back to the database where the full text lives. Or it looks like in this case, there's a couple of choices for the full text. So I can just go ahead and click on any one of those databases, and that should take me to the full text of the article. And it's taking a moment, and it's interesting. Okay, so it looks like that one, it came out with more. So sometimes you might have to do some extra steps. It always happens when I do demonstrations like this, some of the outliers, but typically if you click on that link, it's going to take you back to the page if everything is working correctly. So let me try one more and see if I can just get it to go automatically. I'm going to cross my fingers and see if it'll do that. Yes, okay, so this is the ideal version of what should happen. It'll just go directly to the EBSCO database. And this is the article. You can download it, print it. If you have an account in the EBSCO databases, which by the way, I've had an account through different universities. So I've had an account for about 15 years and it's saved all those items. Again, just another plus for having like your own database account. It's really, really useful. But anyway, let me jump back. And do y'all have any questions? So Jason said, love that. I love that too. This is like one of my favorite things. So let me jump back to the library homepage and I'm going to look at my list because I wanted to be sure that I got everything that I wanted to show you this evening. One thing that I wanted to mention, and it looks like we don't have a ton of time, we have about 10 minutes. So let me just jump into Zotero really quickly. And I'm going to go to the Zotero homepage and I'm going to show you just a really quick demonstration of how it works. So one of the cool things about Zotero is that you have like 3 different ways to get to your content. So you can go in to the Zotero site and you can access your account online, which is great. So let me go to my web library. So like if you're working, if you go to a different library or you're working somewhere different and you need to get to your stuff in Zotero, you can just go to the website. You can also go to that download page and download a desktop version. So that has the most functionality, but it is tied, of course, to the device that you're using. So let me see, and hopefully it's going to show this. Let me know if it's not coming up because I have a lot of different windows open. Can y'all see that? This is like my desktop version of Zotero. Are y'all able to see that window?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. Fabulous. So there's a way that you can sync your web and your desktop. So you would go to, let's see, preferences, there's a sync button, and I have mine set up to automatically sync, but if you need to do that manually, that's where you would do that. So one of the cool things, among other things that Zotero does that I think is fabulous, is you can pull in your PDF files and you can annotate them. And I know that probably seems silly, but to me that's so awesome because it stores, so it's storing, your PDFs, because I'm sure that you've had probably the experience where you're trying to do a research paper and you download a bunch of stuff and they're kind of all over the place in your downloads folder on your computer. And at least with this, you would have all the PDFs in the folders that you create in Zotero. And this is the annotation mode that I have. So let me move some things around because I can't quite see because I've got a lot of different windows open, but you'll see like if you wanted to highlight stuff, you can pick the color and then you can highlight things. You can add notes.
We don't see the.
Oh, you don't see that? Okay, let me see if I can
the...
change. Gosh, thank you for letting me know. Let me see if I can change the screen share so that y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Hopefully, can you see that now? I hope.
Yep.
Awesome, great. Yeah, so this is like one of my favorite things. So I'm just adding like an annotation and it's just so great because sometimes, especially like if you want to do like a citations or, things like that, it's really, really helpful. And so it stores it in your Zotero desktop version. So can y'all still see that? Because I'm switching back to my desktop app. Let me check and make sure that it's showing. Let me check and make sure.
You see it's like a file folder.
A file folder. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So Zotero also will work. And let me go ahead and close that out. Zotero will generate bibliographies just from the lists. So you can do this here on your desktop, and you can do it also on the web version. There's also a way that you can download Zotero, and it'll actually, it's like a plugin that you can use, and it'll work with your Word document or your word processing, whatever you use for that. But let me just show you that really quickly. You could just pick like a couple of these sources that you have, and then you would just go ahead and right click them and you can create bibliography from items. And so you would just choose the style and you choose the output. You could save it as HTML. I'm just going to copy it to the clipboard. Let me go ahead and move to my blank document and make sure, can you all see like a blank Word document now? I hope.
Nope.
Let me double. No. Okay, so let me double check and move that to that. Okay, there we go. Cool. So hopefully you should see like a blank Word document now. So, and I'm just pasting in the citation. So this isn't like the most perfect thing. It's kind of ugly, but I was doing something kind of on the go like that. Typically, when I'm writing a paper, you'll see that, in my copy of Word, I have Zotero installed. And also from here, you can, sync from here if you need to, but you can go ahead and just kind of type. And then we go into add edit citation. It's going to ask you, hey, what style do you want to use? And then it's going to actually connect back to Zotero. So let me see if I can think of, and just kind of pick some random citations. And like if you need to cite 2 or 3, you can just keep adding see. Okay. So you do that and it's adding your parenthetical citations and you keep on typing, blah, blah, blah. And then let me add maybe one more for our, okay, so let me add that one. And so let's just pretend that this is a very tiny paper and I'm done. So then all you have to do is just go add edit bibliography and it's there. Of course, you probably need to make a couple of little spot checks and edits, but for me, it's way better than having to type it by hand. So, and again, this is just like a really, really quick demonstration. You can always make an appointment with a librarian just to go over Zotero, just because there's some other really cool stuff. It's got a way that you can tag your citations. So like if you're doing a literature review and you need to add annotations on your citation, like the stuff that you have in your folders, so you'll know how to organize it for like a literature review. It's really helpful for that too. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to pause for a second and see if y'all have any questions. I know we only have about 5 minutes, and I just wanted to be sure that everybody, if y'all have any questions, if I can answer them. And let me go ahead and switch back while I'm doing that, just the main screen. Let's see, my account under library is giving me a blank page. Do I have to submit it? That's really interesting because normally when you go to my account, it should take you to your account. Do you have your island ID and your username set up yet?
Yes, Lauren.
Yes, okay. What I would do, because I'm not quite sure if it's just like a hiccup with the, like something in the library system, but I would check on Ask Us if you can, like between 8 and 5, or call and just say, hey, I'm trying to get to my account, it's not working, and they should be able to kind of pin down what's going on. So I'm sorry that's happening. That's really frustrating.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
That's a bummer. So let me jump to, I'm just going to be back to the screen. Does anybody else have any questions that they'd like to ask? I mean, I know I showed you a whole lot of stuff, and so I hope it wasn't too confusing. But again, the librarians were here to help you. You're always welcome to set up also those individual consultations. They're super helpful. So I don't think I know the time for the Grow Open House, but I bet Linda does. So
it's gonna be, I lost my notes. It's gonna be kind of like around 10 o'clock when it starts, and we'll go until about 6 o'clock that evening. Just kind of all day, just kind of traipsing in and out. You're certainly welcome. Is there any other questions? I don't think I see anything.
Oh, I'm so glad it was helpful. Thank y'all.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, thank you all very much for logging on and here tonight with us. And we just wish you a wonderful semester, and we're excited for you, and hope you stay cool, not crazy South Texas heat, and safe. And we're here for you. Just reach out. And if we don't know the answer, we'll do our best to get you the answer and get you to the right person.
Thank y'all.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it's great.
Lynn. It was good to see you, and I'll be in touch.
Sounds great.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
You too.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.